if you are in a second company program right now, or you are a trainee or want to be in a second company, here's what you need to think about, okay? Listen up, ladies. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Goldie and this is the Lazy Ballerina Club. Hello. This is going up the day after Valentine's Day and I thought I would be cute and festive, throw on some pink, but this was literally the only pink in my closet. This is the best that I could do. In today's video, we are talking all about second company programs. If you haven't watched my latest video, I talk about the time where I got fired from my first professional ballet company. And in that video, I asked you guys if you would be interested in learning a little more about second company life. You guys were interested and I'm so glad because I feel like I am the second company queen at this point in my ballet career. If you are interested in learning all about second company programs, the pros, the cons, or just my experience in the two separate second company programs I danced in, then make sure you are subscribed down below, like this video, and let's get into it because as always, I have a lot to say. Let's start out with the basics. Let's talk about what a second company program is and the difference between second company and a trainee program. It gets a little complicated, but we'll do this together. Hang in there, and hopefully what I'm saying makes sense because it gets a little confusing. Let's talk about trainee programs first. I think of trainees as the last step before you are in a professional environment, and technically you are still a student. You're starting to be in a more professional environment than you are an academic school-like environment. Whereas a second company program is technically considered a professional program or receiving a paycheck, and it is the baby step or the stepping stone right before you are a full-fledged professional company dancer in a professional ballet company. And this is where it gets confusing. A lot of professional companies that have second company programs kind of take the second company dancers and the trainee dancers and lump them together and kind of put them under the second company name as a second company program. And this was the case at my second company program at the Kansas City Ballet. At Ballet Met, the second company program was just the 6 of us. We all received a paycheck, whereas the second company program at Kansas City was 6 dancers that received a paycheck. But with those 6 dancers, there were about 15 trainees that didn't receive a paycheck, but were still considered a part of the second company. Does that make sense? So now that we have the basic idea of the difference between trainee programs and second company programs, let's get into the pros and cons of actually being a trainee alongside a professional ballet company. Like I mentioned, the trainees are pretty much the last step in the school before you enter the professional ballet world. But even though they are still considered students, they are getting a lot of professional experience. And they are even experiencing professional company rehearsals. They have class with artistic directors and the artistic staff, and they're getting their first taste of what it would actually be like to be a professional ballet dancer. The beauty of a trainee program is that you kind of get the best of both worlds. You still have your normal day of student-like classes where you have technique, variation, point, contemporary rehearsal, but with all of those academic classes, you are still expected to go into company rehearsals. You are learning company choreography. It's the first time where the front of the room and artistic staff are looking at you as a professional dancer, kind of without the pressure of actually being a professional ballet dancer. So there's a little more cushion room as a trainee compared to a second company dancer, which is amazing. And if you are a trainee right now, hold on to it, be grateful for it, because when you enter that second company and you are getting that first paycheck, the list of responsibilities and expectations goes from like a little itty bitty list to like a long novel that feels like you can never keep up with. Now that we've kind of touched on trainee programs, let's talk about second company programs. Similar to trainee programs, you're still not in a full company. It's kind of like the JV to the varsity team. You are basically working alongside the professional company all day. You are in those rehearsals, you are learning choreography, and you're officially getting a paycheck, but you're just not quite there yet, and you still have a little bit of that cushion room like the trainees do, but not as much, unfortunately. I always say this when I talk about second company programs, but you're kind of like in this like weird like purgatory world. You're not a student anymore, and you're kind of like hanging on by a thread if you are anything like me. Your job as the second company is to kind of be the safety net for the company. Someone is injured or someone is sick that day in rehearsal, that artistic director is going to place you in the middle of that rehearsal with those company dancers, and you are expected to know every count, every piece of spacing that they were talking about in rehearsal, and you as a second company member need to blend in as best as possible. Another role that the second company and trainees take on is to be kind of like the ambassador to the company. Once you are in a second company program, you are doing lecture demonstrations, you are traveling to the community, and you are the face of that ballet company. I have a lot to say about lecture demonstrations because they always schedule lec dems at like 8 in the morning at a preschool or like a county fair, and you have to like whip out sugar plum on cement in jazz shoes, and it's just like not cute, but I can make a totally separate video just talking about lec dems. The reason why I kind of compare second company life to this weird purgatory world is because your days are a little confusing. Half of your days you are expected to be a professional ballet dancer, and then the second half of your day you are back with the trainees and more of like a student. While there are a million positives to that mix, it can get a little frustrating at times, and to kind of figure out your role as a dancer in a second company program. But before I get into the negatives, I want to focus on all of the amazing positives that I learned during my second company years. Without second company, I don't know if I could ever be a professional ballet dancer, if I'm being honest. Being those few dancers that are receiving a paycheck and are officially a part of that second company allows you the time and the space to dip your feet into a professional company life and kind of learn the ropes. You are in those company rehearsals every single day. You are working right alongside the artistic staff, and they are looking at you just like they are looking at every single company dancer in there. While you are in company rehearsals for a lot of your days as a second company dancer, you also have time with your little second company director, with your trainees, where you actually get to dance. You are probably dancing the most that you will ever dance in your early company days as a second company dancer. I mean, I remember when I was in second company, I was running like 3 different variations at once. I had to do Don Q paw or sugar plum paw. You're pretty much dancing like you are a principal in your second company bubble of dancers. That is when you start to figure out who you want to be as a dancer and as an artist, and kind of transition from your academic or student-like dancing into that unique, artistic, professional-like dancing as a professional ballet dancer. Those years and that space is so valuable. If you are in a second company program right now, savor these moments where you are running variations and doing pause and working on really, really difficult things, because once you get into a company, you are probably gonna be flower number 12 in the back of the corps or swan number 3. You learn from that too, but when you are in that second company time in your career, there are more pros than I might have realized when I was actually in the second company bubble. But of course, with all of the positives, we need to talk about some of the negatives, or just some of the not as glamorous sides of being a second company dancer, or even being a trainee inside of a second company program. If you are in this like weird in-between time in your ballet career, it can be a little difficult to understand your place or your purpose inside of the company that you are dancing with. The director is expecting you to be professional like the company members, dancers, but you are still running to student classes. Maybe you are in a second company program that still requires a uniform. You're kind of a professional, you're kind of a student, and you're just trying to figure out where you fit in between those worlds, and that can be really, really frustrating. Another frustrating thing that comes with being in a second company program is the lack of respect that the artistic staff gives second company dancers, or even company dancers when interacting with second company members. This is something I want to make a full separate video on because I feel very strongly about this topic, considering I was in a second company program for about 3 years before I got my first full-fledged company contract. It's something that I'm like not really okay with that happens to second company dancers. When people talk about second company dancers, it kind of turns into this like free labor conversation. We are getting a paycheck, but your paycheck is very, very skinny when you are a second company member, and the workload compared to the paycheck aren't really aligned when you are a second company dancer. I get it, you are signing up to learn the ropes, you are becoming professional, there's a lot of work that goes into it before you get into a company, but sometimes companies take advantage of their second company dancers and don't treat them with the proper respect that they deserve as dancers in that studio. At the end of the day, we are exactly that. We are still dancers in that studio. We are human beings. We are putting in hours and hours of work and are constantly being tested and being thrown into rehearsals. The artistic staff is basically seeing if we are going to float or drown in those company rehearsals. That is a lot of pressure to be under as a young dancer in the studio. I have had a million different experiences where the company members were completely disrespectful to us. I get it. Once I became a company dancer, sometimes dancing alongside a second company dancer can be frustrating. They're just trying to figure it out. They might not be on top of their shit in the way that company dancers are, but honestly don't care about that. If you are a dancer in that room, it doesn't matter if you are a trainee, a second company dancer, if you are in 6th grade in the school but you are in a company rehearsal for some reason, I am going to treat you with the same exact respect that I would any company dancer, and that is something that I want to make clear in this video. These company dancers just forget what it's like. As soon as they get that first company contract, all of a sudden they don't remember what it was like being in a second company. They think they're above it, and I think it's like bullshit. Second company dancers are probably the hardest working dancers in that organization. They want that contract the most, and they are willing to do anything to please artistic staff, get that role in a company production, or get that first contract in a full professional ballet company. Don't want to shit on second company programs because I think they are amazing. I probably wouldn't be a professional ballet dancer without my second company years, but when you are in those second company programs, it can feel so frustrating and overwhelming, and again, we're in between where you just were and where you want to be in the future, and being in that like no man's land can be really, really frustrating in your ballet career. Like always, I want to end this on a positive note because I don't know where I would be without my second company experience. If you are in a second company program right now, or you are a trainee or want to be in a second company, here's what you need to think about, okay? Listen up, ladies. Use your time in your trainee program or second company program to soak up as much experience as possible. Being present in those company rehearsals, learning from the older company dancers, seeing how they work in the studio, seeing how they pick up choreography, because the only way you are going to learn how to be a company dancer is to actually be in those company rehearsals, being in that environment, and being tested by the artistic staff. As horrifying and terrifying as that may be in the moment, you are growing from it. Those moments that you have in the studio as a second company dancer will translate so seamlessly when it is time for you to to actually be in a full-on company. Again, I know in the moment all you want to do is be in a full company and you're over second company life. Trust me, I was probably the worst second company member ever because I hated the in-between world purgatory life that second company may feel like at times, but there are way more positives that come out of second companies than there are negatives. Use all of that to your advantage. Use this time and this space to gain as much experience and as much information as possible before you are actually thrown into a full company. And I just feel like I've been repeating the same thing the whole video, but I hope that you have found some good nuggets of wisdom when it comes to second company programs and trainee programs, because I've been there. I know how you feel. Like always, I get it. I think the last thing I want to tell you, or the last little nugget of wisdom, is to not rush the process of your ballet career. If you are in a second company program right now, you're feeling frustrated or defeated and you just feel like you will never get that full contract, hang in there. I had to do 3 years of second company life before that first contract, and I am so grateful for each year of my second company journey, even if I complained and cried and bitched and moaned through those 3 years. I think I am going to end it there. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned a thing or two about second company life or being a trainee under a professional ballet company. And again, if you are in a second company right now, you got this. Work your ass off. Show those directors you deserve that company contract, and you got it. You got it. I believe in you. You need to believe in yourself. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed down below, like this video, and I will see you later. Bye, guys.